Hello and welcome to the Blytheweigh Mining Show. I'm Bonnie Hughes. Our guest today is Georgian Mining. They have a project in Georgia which is very close to their joint venture partners producing mine and processing plant, which would make mining the project quite a simple process. They are currently drilling the Oxide to produce a gold oxide at the start, and then they have copper underneath, which they will produce at a later point. Right now, joining us is newly appointed Chief Executive Officer, Mike Struthers. Hello, Mike. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, Bonnie. Hi. Thanks. Good to be with you.
Yes, thank you. So you've been recently appointed as CEO, well, actually in March, and I understand what was the purpose of the change in management and how will you benefit the company going forward?
Well, Bonnie, we with one of the projects, as you mentioned, Belgravia East, which is the gold oxide and copper project you mentioned. As we're pushing that towards production this year, the team prior to myself, the team last year recognized that they needed to bring in a different set of skills, people who had experience with developing projects and taking things through to production, covering that spectrum from exploration through to mining. We needed to bring in people who were more familiar with the later phases of that process. So late last year, the company started talking to me. I came on in December, at the end of December, as COO. And as you say, just recently, I've taken on CEO role in March. We've also brought in some extra expertise in country. We appointed a guy here who joined us at the beginning of June in a technical services role. So that's also a very good fit. He covers the middle ground in sort of mining, geology, and study work that'll help us in terms of our joint venture relationships bring this thing through to production.
Excellent. Now I understand that part of what you are trying to do is, first of all, network, have a toll milling agreement with your partners, and eventually come to a feasibility study. Now, is all of that still on track, or is that still the plan?
That's still very much the plan. Two key milestones for the work program for this year is to, as you say, to reach a definitive mining and production agreement with our partners, initially on the gold oxides at Belgravia. And then the second key milestone is to complete the feasibility study, which we'll still be doing this year. We'll do later in the year. Obviously, at the end of the feasibility study, there's a go, no-go decision between the partners. That's obviously the purpose of that study. Stepping back to the mining and production agreement, we need to have that done before the feasibility study, because clearly it will influence the financials that we would run. That mining and production agreement is dependent on the metallurgical test work, and that in turn is dependent on the infill drill program. So there's a logical work program that lies ahead. There's a series of interconnected tasks or activities. As I say, fairly logical progress. The production agreement, we need the met test work. That's a whole series of leach column tests that typically take 1.5 months, maybe a couple of months to complete. So yeah, there's a logical work program. That's unchanged. We still want to get those two key milestones done this year. So yeah, we've put a good plan into place. When I came on board at the beginning of the year, one of the first things I did was prepare a much more detailed sort of project plan for that gold oxide project. And of course now we're working on that plan closely with our partners, because we're doing a lot of the work with them, using their facilities and their people. So there's a very high level of cooperation now put into place to make that plan a success.
Now, you just announced that there was a slight delay in the permitting, and that it is going to sort of put the work program on temporary hold until you can sort that out. Do you want to explain to us what's going on with the permitting process?
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, the process in Georgia is that although we have a 30-year mining license, you're required within that overall mining license to obtain exploration permits. These are typically got a duration of perhaps 2, maybe 4 years. Clearly, it's a mechanism the government have put into place that encourages license holders to basically do work and register reserves with the state. Normally, it's a straightforward process. It involves explaining the work that you've done, what is the work that you're planning, and also some agreements on some environmental and social programs that are a part of of your presence in the country. We've worked through all of the technical and bureaucratic details associated with that with the mining agency, which is the group responsible for these permits and licenses. We've done a lot of hard work with them and with our JV partners, and so that application is now finalised. All the details are agreed, and in fact, it was agreed with the mining agency and the former Minister of Economy. We did during this process, though, to be aligned with our partner and the mining agency, we did agree with our JV company in country that we would suspend the field work while this process was being completed. But right now, we're actively discussing with our partners. In fact, I've been doing that today. The options for bringing in additional equipment in and what have you to recover any of the delays that we've experienced. The next step in this process is a government resolution, which then goes up to government, gets endorsed, and comes back down to us. Of course, the hiccup in that process was the resignation of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet last week, naturally, unexpectedly, and inevitably, look, this is going to cause us some delays. Some interim ministers have been appointed, but we need to wait for the government, the new ministers, to settle into their roles, and then they'll be able to review and approve our issue, our application.
And so, are the new ministers? Do you find them to be pro-mining as well?
Well, indeed, I should say interim ministers, because I think it's still to be confirmed whether they are permanent in their roles or whether they're interim. But for example, the key ministry which we are concerned about is the Ministry of Economy and Sustainable Development. The gentleman who is in that minister's role at the moment was in fact the deputy in that ministry previously. So he is entirely familiar with our application. So yeah, that's a great positive. But we need to see if these appointments are made permanent, and it's difficult, of course, to predict the timetable for those things. But look, this is not a serious problem. It's a classic first mover situation. Some permit delays like this are not uncommon in these circumstances. The mining agency likes our application now, and as I said, the previous minister had already endorsed it. I'm very confident we're going to get this resolved. It's just a matter of timing, and I don't expect the delay to be significant.
And the fact that your partner is already in production and has had all the permitting in the past is certainly a benefit.
Absolutely, and we've been working closely with our partner on this as well, and they're equally confident. They know that this will get resolved, and that they are dealing with the various government agencies daily, on a whole variety of fronts. So that provides us also with a lot of comfort. They know this is going to get resolved. It's just a question of timing, and the hiccup with the government change, but they're not concerned either, and they're very confident. So I just can't predict the exact timing, but no, we're very comfortable this is going to get sorted out.
That's excellent. And I noticed that you appointed Hanneman Partners as one of your brokers. What is the purpose of that?
Yes, look, as you'd be aware, the market situation I think is strong. It continues to improve, and we've been approached by a variety of organisations, basically looking to make financial or strategic investments, and they like Georgian's story. They like the team. And they want to try to do something together. So, well, in concert with that, we're also keeping an open mind on new opportunities, both in Georgia and elsewhere in the Tethyan Belt. So it seemed with the approaches that we're getting, it seemed sensible to get some advice, and we're very pleased that we were able to secure the support of Hanneman Partners on this. So yeah, it fits. It's a good time for the market. It's a good time for us. We're getting a lot of approaches. As I say, they like the story and they like the team. So yeah, we're looking forward to working with Hanneman. I think that's going to give us a very positive outcome.
Excellent. And I also expect that you're looking to have a resource, an updated resource on the gold oxide sometime near the third or fourth quarter of this year.
Absolutely, it's as I said, the plan, the logical work plan for the development of the gold oxide project is the same. It hasn't changed, and so the infill drill program will be at a close space of drilling and will be the definitive drilling program and allow us to prepare the definitive resource for the gold oxides project. In parallel with that, of course, some of that drilling is also targeting the deeper copper sulfide project. So we'll be able to do an update at the same time. We'll do an update on the copper sulfides project, but it won't be the definitive resource for that. Our program this year is to really continue to test the ultimate dimensions, extent of that copper sulfide resource. And then, of course, there'll be further infill to allow us to upgrade that resource into a suitable category that allows us to prepare a reserve. So, so the definitive resource on the gold oxides very much in our sights. Will follow immediately after the infill drill program.
That's excellent. So we'll be looking forward to some great news on your company. Thank you so much for joining us, Mike, and we look forward to speaking with you again when you give us an update on everything that's going on and when the permitting is finally finalized. And good luck with the project.
Bonnie, that's excellent. Thanks very much for your time. I'm looking forward to talking to you again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the Blytheweigh Mining Show. Have a very profitable day.